Hey, you guys, what's up? This is Anime Blaze coming to you with another podcast. That is right. And it's been a while since I've actually done one of these. I think the last one I did was with the Dashing Native, and we talked about Ruby Volume 3. If you guys want to check that out, it's on my channel under the Blaze Podcast playlist. It's about an hour long, so if you think you can sit through that, or if you think you can handle it, then go right ahead and be my guest. But today we're going to be talking about the infamous anime company that is the bane of many people's existence, and that is Aniplex. The company that is known for overpricing DVDs, overpricing anime sets, different things of that nature, and having their own justification for doing so. But today we're going to be reading an actual article that an anime website did called the Anime Herald. They actually sat down with the president of the U.S. branch of the company to talk about these things, and I thought you guys might want to hear about them. And I'm going to be talking about my points and to go along with that as well. So if you guys want to read the article for yourself, different things of that nature, the article will be in the description. I highly recommend that you guys check it out. So yeah, the main thing that I want to kind of go into this, that kind of kicks this whole thing off, was the reacquisition of Full Metal Alchemist by Aniplex from Funimation, in the first place. And this whole move in and of itself came as a shock to many people, and it threw people for a loop because again, Full Metal Alchemist has been a well-known show to many people, and it seemed like it would be the last show that would be taken, be moved somewhere else or something. And it's crazy to think that Aniplex has no thoughts, has no further thoughts on moving it back into the United States for those sort of things. They want to have it under their own branch. And if you guys know, anything that goes under the Aniplex of America or Aniplex name, that a lot of good can't really come from that. The only thing that really can come from that is overpricing and a lot of things of that nature. But I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and just talk about a lot of that stuff. So, the main thing that, Hideki Henry Goto talked about on this topic was that it concerned him that Full Metal Alchemist was known as more of a Funimation product rather than an Aniplex product, and that it was one of their greatest successes as far as Aniplex goes. It was one of their greatest successes, and that it concerned him that it was seen as Funimation's property rather than theirs. And I understand where he's coming from with this, but at the same time, you can't really blame people for considering FMA to be a Funimation product, considering how much work actually went into promoting the show in the United States. Like how much effort was actually done on Aniplex's part to promote the show within North America? How much? Because from what I've seen, a lot of the different things that I've seen, a lot of it was done by Funimation, from the commercials, the trailers, the promos, to the movies, to a lot of that different stuff, to the English dubbing for the series, to doing the ADR cleanup for the audio, to subtitling the show for themselves, the packaging, all that stuff was handled under Funimation. And from what I know, none of that was really done by Aniplex at all, and they had no part in it. So to kind of say that, oh, it's our greatest success, they're right in terms as far as like ownership of the actual show itself. On the other hand, it's kind of, to a lot of people, it seems as though this is a sign of, hey, we're greedy, we want our money. And it's like, yeah, we know this show is popular, and like, hey, we know you like the show, and you know what, since you like the show so much, we're going to take it back, and we're not going to bring it back to the United States under another company at all, in any shape or form. And if you want it, you're going to have to come through us to get it, because that's how it's going to be. And Yeah, it's sad to say, but it looks like that's how things are gonna go. Now moving on to their business model. Now, I'm not exactly too angry at the business model because it's not actually too bad. Like the bottom part, I'll talk about it. On their website itself, there is a pyramid that they show of the business model. At the bottom of the pyramid, uh, the widest angle of the pyramid at the bottom is streaming video. And I agree with them on that because the game has definitely changed as far as exposure to anime. And and nowadays, streaming anime is one of the biggest ways that you will ever be able to see it and get to know a show. So, I have no problems with that. I have no problem with that. With Netflix and different places like that, legal streaming, things of that nature. Um, However, there comes a point where pricing and things change of that nature, and pricing and availability. Now, the president of the company is for America, the American branch, anyway, is no slacker. He's not a guy who just like had little to no experience and just like talking out of the side of his neck. No, this guy actually had experience way back to the Pioneer Entertainment days with, you guys know Pioneer Entertainment, the ones who made like laser discs and all that kind of stuff, and he actually had experience with that, and he knew what the anime crash was like way back when. The anime bubble popped and all that other stuff. So he's not a newcomer to this. Um, he has experience. However, I think that his experience and his memory of the dark times with the industry is his dark times and things with the industry is what's kind of limiting him to only thinking about the past and limiting to the possibilities of the future. Why do I say that? Um, why do I say that he's living in the past? Well, one of the things I say in the past, one of the things that I've noticed from the people that I've talked to, who have been involved with collecting anime since the 90s and a little bit before then, one of the things that they've always told me was that individual volumes for series used to cost like $40 or $50 for like just one individual volume for like 4 episodes. And they would be willing to pay it because that was the only way they were able to get anime and everything. But as soon as companies like Funimation and and a few other companies came into play, and started releasing shows for those same volumes for like maybe half the price, $10, people started actually saying, what, bump this ain't right. And that was why a lot of companies like Pioneer went out of business. And I think that this same thing is what's wrong with Aniplex of America. And one of the things they gave an example for on the article was Kill la Kill, 49 or $50 for 4 episodes. Doesn't that sound reminiscent of the 90s? And it sounds like unbelievable. Like, why would a person do that? It seems like such a terrible move. Well, in Henry Goto, the one thing they quoted was that his reasoning for it was that he values the content. He values the shows. He values the content. He wants the anime industry to do well. He sees them. He sees the anime industry as a flourishing thing, and that he doesn't want it to go south again. However, with this business model, to me anyway, with this business model of $60 or at least $50 for 4 episodes, it's like who wants to do that, And it seems like truly an outrageous thing. Um, and from the people that I've seen that collect stuff from Aniplex USA, they question the actual collector. They question the value of the product itself. They question whether the product is actually worth the X amount of dollars for it. Whether it's even the collector's edition for a show, it's like, well, you just put it in a slipcase and doesn't come with anything extra, that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting to see that aspect of it too. Um, and one of the biggest problems that I would say that I've seen with that, that I've already talked about at least a little bit, is the pricing of the thing of affordability and availability. Uh, and I know that Aniplex is more of the collector side of anime shows, of buying anime shows and things of that nature. However, it's not, to me, it's not a good business model. It's not a good look for a company when you're like, hey, you want to get this show, you want to get this awesome anime show. We know you like it. We know you really, really want it. So we're going to only release special collectors limited edition sets that run you about 100, maybe close to $200, sometimes even $300 for the specific release of the show. And we're only going to be let it be available like that. There is not going to be a standard edition that just anybody can buy or anything like that. And sometimes this is going to be a limited run thing. So if you don't get it while it's still hot, while it's still available, well then that's too bad. You're not going to get it at all. That sort of thing. And it's that sort of way of thinking that is a terrible mindset, which is why every single time when people hear about an anime being being taken back by Aniplex, everybody gets a sinking feeling within themselves that, well, this is the beginning of the end of the show, because it's like, well, I'll never get it again. And I'm not going to knock them and say that their sets aren't good, that their sets aren't that good, because I mean, again, what's worth something to one person might not be worth something to another person. It varies like that. But at the same time, it's just, to me, it's kind of a horrible business model when a person who really wants your show has to spend an arm and a leg, no pun intended, to get your product. And from what I've been able to tell from reading the article, he wants to bring the anime experience of Japan to America. But I have to argue, and I have to say this, that if your idea of spending, if your idea of spending anime, if your idea of bringing the ultimate anime experience to the United States and American fans is bringing these overpriced sets that are sometimes only available for a one-time only deal, that are only available in limited edition sets, never a standard edition, because again, like I said, not every person wants a limited edition set, then you got the game twisted. That's not the right mentality to have. That's not what a lot of people want. And if that's the experience, I can only speak for myself, but there are some people that will agree with me, that is, if this is the experience that you're planning on bringing to the United States, then we don't want this experience. Granted, there are some shows it's like, well, if you want it, that's your only choice. But it just baffles me in some ways that this is what it is. Um, and I don't really know how that continues to go on. But I mean, hey, I mean, it's cool. I mean, granted, I will say this. There are some shows that I would be willing to drop a good amount of money for. Granted, like for me, Ghost in the Shell was one of those shows. It's one of the shows or the series franchises that I've put the most money into, I think, aside from what was it, Appleseed? Yeah, aside from Appleseed, that was the show that I probably dropped the most money into. Um, but at the same time, if you're going to make a product, that is supposed to be superior and supposed to be good, and all this other stuff, then there's a couple of things you got to make sure. You got to make sure that the product is actually worth buying, and those sorts of things, and that the pricing is reasonable. You know, but I don't know. That's just what I think, man. again, I'll say this: your average, and I guess I'll probably say this to at least close up the podcast with at least a little bit of closure on the subject. Um, your average anime viewer, somebody who, let's say, is working a job or is in high school or whatever. Let's just say they're working, and they're like, hey, I want to buy some anime because I really really like it. Um, I think that they should be able to go online, go to the store, and buy something that they can actually be like, hey, that's a good price. That won't cost them an arm and a leg um, to buy. Um, and that is your average anime viewer. Your average anime viewer is somebody who just wants to buy the regular edition of a show. Now, not saying that they won't say, hey, this show is pretty cool. I think I want to spend a little bit more to get a limited edition version of the show. But it's, that's like a once every now and then kind of thing. Most of the time, most people just want to buy a show, and that fits me into that category. I'm not in the business for buying a limited collector's edition, a limited X, Y, and Z. Maybe sometimes yes, sometimes no. But for the most part, I just want to buy a regular version of a show. I just want to own it. That's it. And it kind of discourages me that the Aniplex is taking the approach that they do. Granted, a show that I would probably buy for them for the price that they do would probably be Shiki. Granted, I'm going to buy that from Funimation before that happens. But if they just come out of the blue and say, um, hey, here's a special limited collector's edition or whatever of Shiki, then I'll probably go for it. But that's about it. Once in a lifetime kind of thing. And to me, that's definitely something that's holding the company back. So, Aniplex of America, if you're listening, which you may or may not be doing, I have advice for you. I have advice for you. Your average, I know you try to justify your means by saying that, hey, we want to offer the best content possible. We value the product. We do X, Y, and Z for the anime, that sort of thing. But, I realize that, and I understand that. But you have to realize where the anime industry is right now. Now, I know you don't want the anime industry to go back to where it was with the anime bubble, but you got to realize too that this is not the past. This is the future of where the anime industry is at. And this isn't the 90s where people will just automatically be okay with you charging $50 to $60 for 4 episodes for a show. It's like, oh no. And it's like, I understand each episode of a show costs a lot of money to produce, but at the same time, it's like your average viewer isn't going to go for that. That's not what we're doing. And that's why you have a lot of people in Japan reverse importing your shows because and then maybe that might be one of the things with Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know, but a lot of other anime shows. That's what with a lot of other anime. That's why you have a lot of people in Japan reverse importing importing anime from America back to Japan rather than the other way around because it's just that affordable. It's like nobody has money to spend like that. People have rent they have to pay, people have bills and all the different things of that nature. You know, and it's pretty bad. And a lot of people say the argument of, hey, if you want it, then you need to get a job. Well, it's bad when you have people that have jobs and pay for anime and pay for bills and stuff like that, but still see your products as being too much money. So I recommend this. This is what I would say is a perfect business model for your company, and you can take it or leave it, do what you want with it, do what you will. But I seriously think that you guys should take up the business model of your competitors. That'll be the only way that you can really compete with them. Now, like I said, I understand that the reason that you exist is for novelty and for creating a product that is somewhat limited in its release so that you can ensure that people will buy it. However, for your average anime viewer, over time, I don't think that your company will do to. I don't think that people are going to buy that anymore of, $60 for 4 episodes. I don't think that's going to cut it, and you may face problems in the future because it's already gotten to a point where people are taking your own DVD sets. Somebody took one for the team, in some cases, as people call it, and took your product, ripped it from the disc, and just uploaded it online. And that's the title of it. If you go and look, that's the name of the file. And it's like, you don't want that to happen. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to say that's justification, but at the same time, that's a lot of people feel that's the only way that they can get your products, is if it's like, on that level. So I would highly recommend that you guys take notes from your competitors, Funimation and Sentai Filmworks, because yes, they have a lot of special editions of shows that have maybe $100-something, maybe 150, 180, X amount of money. And it may be really, really expensive. However, they offer the alternative, and they realize the fact that your average anime viewer, your average person who watches anime, actually wants to be able to buy the show. They don't want to spend an arm and a leg. They don't want to spend too much money to buy a show that will have limited availability, or something that will cost them rent and car payments and all this other stuff that they have to pay for. That's something that I think you guys should seriously take into consideration over the next few years, because I can tell you from where I'm sitting, it's not going to fly too well. It really isn't doing too well. And I'd hate to see, something bad happen with your company because of the business approach that you've taken. And I understand that, Mr. Goto, that you stand behind your word, that you stand behind what you say, and you're well aware of both the good and the bad that people have to say about the company. But I highly recommend that you look into this, because your competitors right now, they're definitely making a lot. And they've realized that. That's why they have special editions and different things of that nature. But yeah, I highly recommend that you check that out. So that's pretty much it, guys, for this podcast. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this business model, what you think about the article. Again, the article will be in the description so you guys can check it out for yourselves. What do you think about Aniplex of America? Do you think that they are justified in what they do? Do you think that the market that they have is okay? Let me know, because I'm really interested. Because from what I've seen, a lot of people that I've talked to, their methods aren't cool. They aren't going to fly. As far as collector's editions, yes, it's cool, but it sucks for the person who actually wants to buy a regular edition of the show and doesn't want a limited edition, but they're forced to get it because of the methods of the company, So that's pretty much that. I'm the Anime Blaze, signing off saying never doubt your capabilities, because you never know what you might be able to do. And I will catch you guys later in whatever it may be happening that I decide to do. Oh boy, man, this was interesting. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later.